I want to start with when you came to Philadelphia, if you don't mind. Probably, well, what people say the best trade ever for the Flyers, getting you and Eric Desjardins, Rico Desjardins. I said that to him every day. He probably was like, "Get this hyper kid away from me." Because every time I saw Rico, I'd be like, "Rico Desjardins." He'd be like, just laughing. He's probably just going, "Get the fuck away from me, dude." But Johnny, you came in, and I mean, like, it was almost right away. I mean, it was a shortened season because we had that was the lockout, the half year. And I think we had played 8 or 9. I can't remember how many games, but you came in and Rico came in. And I mean, wow, the turnaround was crazy. Like, what were your thoughts on all that? Like when you came in from Montreal?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I got traded, you're disappointed. I won a cup in Montreal. Montreal was an hour from my house. I mean, I grew up watching the Canadians. Anytime you get traded, I think you're a little disappointed. But once we got on the plane coming down, just very excited to be here in Philly, new opportunity. Obviously things worked out really well with me. I had a chance to play with Eric and Rennie right away. So it wasn't like, they were screwing me. I got a great chance to do something right off the hop. I'm just fortunate things worked out for me in that way and things took off. But I mean, you look at that trade and you kind of look at like the Flyers, like, when we made that trade, we became actually pretty good. We were a good team. We made the playoffs, and then we were always in it for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
And the key thing is, like, everybody's like, oh, you came and you scored 50 goals. But everything worked around Eric Desjardins. The power play, the penalty kill, 5-on-5. Every defenseman that came through the ranks over those 10 years, they learned everything they know from Rico.
That's right. You're right.
I mean, watching, like, everybody, like, Eric, obviously superstar and all that. But without Rico in that lineup, that team's a big different team. It's a different team, that's for sure.
Yeah, he was he was so good, man. I mean, he did everything, like you said. He did it all: power play, penalty kill. Like, he just 5-on-5. Like, he was just. It seemed like he never made a mistake. Like, I mean, he was just so good, so smart, and God, he was good. He scored big goals too, man. Like,
exactly.
Don't sell yourself short though. You had a lot to do with stuff too, but the chemistry was amazing. Like, right away, you guys obviously were just clicking. I mean, it was crazy. I think you had 25 goals in a short. I can't remember exactly how many,
there was a lockout that year.
Yeah, it was a shortened year. Yeah,
9 games in Montreal. I played 9. I don't know how many you guys had here.
Yeah,
and then I came here, and like you said, I scored 20 something, whatever. But yeah, I was on fire playing with those two guys. Playing with Michael and Eric. I mean, we had immediate success, and things got rolling pretty quick for us.
Yeah, it was awesome, and I mean, you guys you guys were dominating for years. I mean, it was crazy. It almost. I know nothing's easy, National Hockey League, but some nights it actually looked easy for you guys. I mean, and I know that's not the case, but you guys were just. The chemistry, the clicking, I mean, just everything, man. It was fun to watch, that's for sure.
Was there something that you did? Like, were you training a certain way, or was that just like, pure beast mode?
I mean, the mentality, I think, of a hockey player now is, the same as it was. Just it was a little bit more gung ho back then. Like, you played through a lot of shit back then. You played through a bunch of stuff yourself. I mean, you've seen guys that. They limp into the rink, they get warmed up, they stretch, and they go and they play a game and they play well. I mean, part of it was that mentality. You're there to play, so you play as much as you play every night. I mean, I had a great streak going. I think I had maybe, like you said, 4 or 5 years, whatever, played every game or whatever. But then things really went to shit after that. I got hurt like 3 out of the 4 years after that. Missed a ton of games. So, just like I said, I love playing hockey. Like, it was never a question I didn't want to play. If I could play, I was going to play. That kind of thing. Now the guys are resting and they've got a little thing here. It's different. The game's much skilled. Guys are they're just a different little mentality. And I get guys are taking care of themselves, they're being smart. There's a shitload of stuff that guys went out and played that wasn't smart. It just wasn't smart to go out and play like that. But like I said, it was a different mentality, different time. I think that's kind of why you have that.
I remember, Johnny, we were playing in the playoffs and you sprained your ankle like really bad. We're playing Tampa, I believe.
Yeah.
And I mean, you come into the rink, Riles, you should have seen his foot. It just looked like someone took a sledgehammer to it. It was, and this guy played, I think I'm pretty sure he scored 2 goals. I think we won 3-1 that night. I don't even know. He barely could walk into the rink and he gets that skate on. And I mean, people don't know those sort of things about you guys, because you're not going to go to the meeting and be like, hey, I played with a, hurt ankle,
Right.
But it was amazing. Like I'll never forget that as long as I live. Like I've told that story 100 times. Like I could not believe you were able to even skate, but you were a warrior, man. But that was awesome. You're right. It has changed a bit though. Like you were saying.
I just feel back then,
now.
guys that never took care of themselves as well as they do now. Maybe there was certainly a few, but there's so much emphasis on, strength and conditioning and recovery. And that doesn't guarantee you're going to play 82 games in a regular season either. Right. I mean, the fact that you did that for how many years is impressive, whether it was just like an act of God. And, obviously in that era, it was still pretty clutch and grab and, bigger bodies floating around. And obviously you're a big one yourself, but I just think that's pretty amazing. I just know, like, how much of a grind it is, to begin with, and then to be able to endure that and not just endure it, to score 50 3 years in a row is pretty amazing. So I just wanted to
really amazing.
Props to you for that. And then you did, a couple 40 goal seasons, and obviously that line obviously was something else. So
talking to you about it, something I never really got to talk to you about, like, man, you won a Stanley Cup. It's unbelievable. You won it, one of the best places probably to play hockey, Montreal. I mean,
no kidding.
Obviously, I don't know that, but you do, like you said, growing up, and then you played there. What was that like, man? That had to be just. That's a dumb question, but what was it like, man?
Yeah, I mean, growing up an hour from there, every Saturday night I watched Montreal play on Hockey Night in Canada. I knew the tradition, obviously. In the late 70s when they were winning cups year after year, I was watching and just glued to the TV, watching, because that was the only hockey you could watch was them. I actually grew up a Bruins fan, but I watched just to watch hockey. You had to, you watch Montreal play. The other cool thing about that was the old Montreal Forum. I mean, That place was a cathedral. It was just, it was so cool to be in that building and just be in that locker room with all the history and everything behind it. And then to win a Stanley Cup in that town, I'm sure it's great everywhere. You win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
There's no bad place to win a Stanley Cup.
True. Yeah.
But, I just think, Montreal, they do appreciate it. There's just a little bit more sophistication to it. Like they know kind of, even though they got their 24 cups, I don't think they take it for granted. They celebrated like that was the first one too. And, obviously your career's over, you look back, it's a great thrill of my career, obviously to win there in Montreal, but it's incredibly disappointing that, the height of my personal career, we couldn't finish the job here in Philly. And
so
I think we had 2 or 3 teams that could have and should have won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I agree, man. You guys, I left, went to the Phantoms. Even your first, I think we went to the conference final that first year. The Devils ended up beating us. We fought back and tied that series. You guys fought back and made it 2-2 because we lost the first 2 at home. And everyone's like, "Oh, this is over." We go into Jersey, Riles. The boys pull off 2 wins. Now it's you're back to even, and it looked like we were going into overtime in Game 5, and then Pepe buried one from the blue line, came across the blue line, scored one late in the third. But anyway, you're right, man. And then, you guys go to the finals in 97 and that didn't work out. And even when those guys came back and with the Devils of that series, that was the year I thought you guys were, I thought that was the one you guys were going to win it. But you still great years here, man.